y'all, welcome back to Starting Out Solitary. My name is Isabella and I will be filling in for Michelle, who is usually your Thursday host. So the topic this week, as you've seen, is paganism and justice, and you'll have to forgive my like 12 layers. It's like negative 14 degrees Celsius here. It's really cold, so I'm just gonna stay nice and warm. Okay, so paganism and justice. Let's get some terms out of the way. What is justice? Justice is the conformity to a principle of fairness and equality within a organized community. I know that earlier this week, Pandora was talking about Ma'at. As I tend to follow Egyptian pantheon a little bit, I want to expand a little bit on Ma'at. Ma'at is the personification of balance and justice and morality and harmony. She is the complete opposite of Isfit, which is chaos. So it's a balancing act between Isfit and chaos. Justice in both religious and secular worlds is frequently shown as like a balancing of scales, and that continues throughout a lot of things. So let's get into the rabbit hole of justice and pagan views and all of that. So as humans, we tend to think in dichotomy. An example of a dichotomy is on this hand X, but on the other hand Y. Justice is a faceted, abstract concept. Generally, most people of Abrahamic faith tend to find that true justice is served by God. Paganisms as a whole tend to kind of move against absolution, that divinity will intervene in matters of fairness or equality. Paganism as a whole tends to be more compatible with emphasizing like greater harmony among different parts, processes, and deities. None of whom are all good and all bad. Paganism tends to view things as a faceted thing, always within context of the matter. As a whole is greater than the part of its, what is it? It's, the quote is, the whole is greater than the parts of it, no, the sum of its parts, that's what it is. Because harmony is created, by, like, arising out of, like, these really contrasting relationships, in a reality that's completely woven by interdimensional tapestry. I can speak English, which is larger than anything that can be grasped by any one vantage point. When you look at the universe as a whole, human beings are such a small portion of that it's hard to say like the justice of human beings is going to be justice for universal, like justice within the universe. And so I find that every view is extremely partial to what it's viewing. Let's say that black holes are sentient. Black holes are going to have a different version of justice than a human being on Earth. So, we're going to go further into this rabbit hole. I'm really interested that we're talking about justice this week because something that really stood out to me is where I grew up is the Supreme Court courthouse for the state, and within this building there's a huge statue. I mean, she's like 50 feet tall, of justice. And so it's a woman who is clothed in like these really Greek looking toga wraps, and she's kneeling, and above her she's holding a prairie falcon, which is one of the swiftest birds known. And their vision is generally like 8 to 10 times more than human beings. So this statue is really formative on my thoughts and justice as a child. And I tend to be of a humanist waste, so it's hard to say what basic human rights of justice should be. Because that's going to be different. I tend to agree with a lot of other people that I have my own personal opinion of like what is the correct way to deal with something. Like someone who murders, how do you deal with that? But it's hard to say, like, across the board, like, this is what justice is. Again, because it's so abstract and so multifaceted. I tend to lean a lot more towards pluralism, which is the noting of multiple viewpoints and stands rather than a single approach to a method. So, like, instead of saying, if you kill someone, we're going to kill you, or it's taking into account, like, why that person committed that crime, or why that injustice is being done, and coming at it from multiple perspectives. For example, like, within the physical realm, there's general relativity and quantum physics. One of the pluralistic responses of disunity is to admit that there's obviously fundamental laws that govern the natural universe, and how immeasurable models describing the universe at various levels, like macro and micro, for instance, don't necessarily pose threats to describing individual domains. So, like, what's happening on a nuclear level doesn't necessarily threaten, like, our whole being. It's really complicated. Simply put, I think that as a whole, that we need to just realize that there's usefulness within various models of truth, and what's equal and what's just, and not necessarily concerning ourselves with the ultimate, this has to be the answer for everyone. So anyways, in short, I'm going to digress to say that I am just one functioning cog of a universal picture, and I am interested to see what you guys think in the comments below. So again, I will probably see you guys on Subs Week unless somebody else needs a sub before that. So I will see you guys on Sub Week. Bye!